What's up, everyone? Welcome to Dogs Down South Sunday night Overreaction Sunday. Oh my gosh! First time doing an Overreaction Sunday. We'll see how it goes. I think I think Overreaction Sunday basically talks about, man, just everything every Georgia fan is feeling on Sunday. Some people woke up today and they feel better about the loss against Ole Miss, and some people woke up today still confused about what happened and what's going on. But that's why we're having why we're talking tonight, Sunday, a little early before the week. So it's the night to kind of get it all out. If you're joining us tonight, make sure you follow us live on Facebook, YouTube, trying to get to 1,000 followers, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, where these go up 24 hours later. And so I'm going to add my man, Richman. Richman, what's up, man? How's your Sunday going?
Sunday's going fine, man. Yesterday we took one on the chin.
Yeah, Sunday is better than Saturday. I don't know, man. I tried to watch some football today. I said I wasn't going to, so I went and did some things around the house and decided to turn on the Bucks game and just kind of watch it a little bit while I was doing some stuff. And then they got beat last minute field goal, and I'm just like, you know what, man, my football weekend is just not going well. I should not watch any other team because I'm apparently bringing some bad luck.
Even the Falcons jumped into the L column.
I saw it, man. The Saints. They said the Saints head coach looked like when they won he had a heart attack. Did he have a heart attack, dude, or was that just fake?
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, they say I thought he had a heart attack. Rich, man, it's Overreaction Sunday, man. We haven't done many of these because we haven't had a lot of reasons to do any of these, right? Obviously, Georgia takes the first loss to a non-Alabama team in regular season for the first time since November 7th, 2020. That makes us look back all the way to this stupid pandemic. Man, that's a long time ago, man. So Georgia fans, it's inevitable because we don't know how to feel this way, right? We know how to feel this way because we know we've taken some on the chin from Alabama in the past 4 years. We just so happen to either meet them in the playoff or meet them in the SEC championship, or this year meeting them in the regular season. And that's been kind of what we're talking about. We get the Alabama blues, we call it, but this is a different one. This is Alabama loss, and now this is our second loss of the year to an Ole Miss team that looked like, in all facets of the game, either they whooped us or we just didn't do some things right. And if we did them right, could we have won? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to leave it wide open tonight. We're going to look at a lot of our viral Facebook pages that all our fans that are just hitting the internet, just freaking out, which I get it. Our goal, man, is hopefully to get into Monday, and then we'll have the show this week where we go live and we'll preview Georgia, Tennessee. Already today, a lot to talk about, but first thing we want to talk about is Richman. Everybody's looking at our offense, Bobo, Carson Beck, our receivers, our linemen, our run game. Where do we start tonight? And we're going to try to come at this in a practical way. Me and Richman have already had our side conversations of gripe and pissed offness, but we're going to try to let the viewers hear this from a perspective of what do we think really is going on in this? What do we, what are we bringing into this week? Obviously, we're coming into a make or break week. We have 3 weeks straight of make or break games to make the college football playoff. And this is something that I don't know if you'd say Georgia's not used to. I mean, we're used to playing like this because before the 12-team playoff era, you really couldn't afford to lose any games, right? So this year, it's weird to see us drop 2 games and still have the opportunity to go and play. But let's talk about it real quick. So, Rich, man, what do you think, man? So let's start with offensive line play, man. What do you think in general with the offensive line? Like, if you had to grade what we had going on against Ole Miss, what do you think some of the problems were? What would you grade the offensive line at last night?
So Austin Brooks has talked about this on and off all season. Like, he's pointed out over and over and over again that our tackles have similar mistakes that they're not improving. And then also in so many situations where one of the linemen expects the other lineman to pick something up. So they do a shade or they hit with one hand and then shift the other way towards picking up. They're not getting any of that. And so what you have basically is an offensive line that is not working as a team. And
Right.
I don't generally what we've seen with Kirby's teams, especially on the national championship teams, is we had some of this rickety, iffy play, but we began to see improvement. And towards the end of the season, especially the offensive and defensive lines were gelling. They were playing as a team, and that's what carried us to championships. And our O-line is just, they are not working together as a team. And I don't know, you don't really, it's hard to analyze that because you don't know what's going on the inside. And,
Right.
and another thing that I've known, I don't know if I think you and I may have talked about this, and I've read about a lot of comments, but all of the substitution, they're moving people in and out, in and out,
Right.
in and out in so many different positions. I mean, only one position on the field where they don't move somebody out, and that's Beck. And the whole world's screaming about that. But every other position, they don't leave them in there. And when I played ball, I never got pulled out of a game. You stayed there the whole time, and you developed continuity with the guys that you were playing with.
Right.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna say that 90% of our problems are oriented to the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and then there's so many side stories. I mean, you and I've been talking so much about NIL, and what does that mean? And
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and throw that in there, and what we just talked about with this NIL. And Ted and I both have managed teams at our whole life. That's what we do. And I was just telling Ted, I'm like, what if you go to work tomorrow and you take one of your key employees and you bump him up to $100 an hour, and all the other employees find out about it, and then he starts slacking off and not pulling his weight? You got a problem on your hands. All hell's going to break loose. That is human nature.
Yeah.
And there's no talk about this, but you cannot get around human nature. I would love to know what's going on the inside dynamic with this team.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And, we're just talking about the offensive line. The offensive line, it starts and ends there. We talked at the beginning of the year, and I've talked all summer long about the offensive line play has to be great. Why? Because we want to run the football. Like, we want to run the football. I think we're getting into a day and age where running the football is becoming, I don't know if it's obsolete, but it's something that, I mean, I don't look through the SEC and look at, I can't name you one running back in the SEC. I just go, this guy. You go back a few years, I can do that. I mean, people would have named Derrick Henry. They would have named Todd Gurley. They would have named Ricky Williams out of Texas. They would have named, Barry Sanders. It's just Herschel Walker. You just go and you go and you go. But it's like, I'm not going to name one running back outside of, apparently I was told, I heard the other night that one of the Heisman Trophy candidates, and I didn't know about this, maybe it's just being said because of ESPN covering it, is this guy from Tennessee, Sampson from Tennessee, is apparently having a really great year, almost at 1,000 yards rushing this year, which is crazy for Tennessee, which I can see that at Tennessee because they've had a hard time gelling this passing offense that they normally have as a really explosive passing offense, and they're a little more balanced this year. But my thing is the line play this year was something that we were coming into that was supposed to be a positive. Injuries have hurt that. I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you the truth. I mean, when you have Monroe Freeling shifting to right tackle, you have Micah. You have Micah. What's Micah's last name? Losing that. Anyways, you have Micah moving from. I mean, he's not in there. Micah Harris, I think it is. He's not in there, and he's one of the strongest players on the team. Then you got Tate, who's had this tightrope surgery and is trying to hold in there at the guard position. And they went out and spent $20 million, and I guarantee you $8 million of that $20 million is on that defensive front that they brought in there. Prince Umani Million from Florida. I mean, he had a great game. I actually called them out and said they were quiet all year long, but here they come. Walter Nolan, Prince Umani Million. They really caused a lot of Trey Scott. They caused a lot of havoc in our backfield. And so the offensive line play was something that I was just really like, what? Like, we're not used to being bullied on the offensive line. I think that's the best word to say for it. Working together as a team is one thing, but I think what we're looking at is we're looking at a bunch of guys that are being bullied right now.
And something interesting with that too. And I was listening to Don. I was on the Don and Listen Along show for a little while, and Don made a comment, and I got to thinking about it. I was like, so Beck's doing his drop back and trying to go through the progressions and getting sacked and fumbling the ball. So why don't we go no huddle and go with a quick pass, get the ball out of there, and if we can't do it this way, let's do it that way,
Right.
and take that burden off the offensive line, take that burden off of Beck, and go, no huddle, fast pace, one step, throw the ball. If it's not there, throw it away, but we don't do that, and it's just, and I think Donnan was a little frustrated with Bobo's calls. There was, I'm sitting there looking at stuff. He goes under center every time it's a play action pass. Well, if I'm picking up on that, their defense surely is, and their defensive line's teeing off.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, so you look at that, and then you look at the running back play. I mean, I have never seen us be this low on healthy running backs. I mean, Rod Robinson, we haven't heard anything all year about this turf toe thing going on, this surgery, and I mean, I haven't seen a update on Rod Robinson in months. You got obviously Branson's out for the year. But I also heard Branson, it wasn't as bad as it could be, and he could possibly be, this MCL and things of that nature. And then you have, Frazier, and I've seen Dwight Phillips Jr. that ran one play that scored against Florida, and then you never see him again.
Ted, most of these injuries are coming from practice.
Yeah.
From this Bloody Tuesday. Is it time to go back and reevaluate Bloody Tuesday? Because it seems like that we're hurting ourselves more than the opponent's hurting us. And I don't see us being more physical than anybody we're lining up with. So this Bloody Tuesday is not working, making us more physical, and it's not working so that we can put our better athletes on the field. What's the deal? What's the benefit of that?
I agree. For some reason, it's coming up as Facebook user. I have no idea who's asking the question, but have not thrown a long ball on first down while not to loosen the D. Very good. I mean, we mentioned that too. We didn't try to stretch the field at all on Saturday. We have no. I mean, we talk about how fast we are. We talk about. I don't know, man. The game. I don't know what the game plan was built around. Why would
you not do that with Arian Smith at least twice a game, first half and second half? I cannot even begin to answer that question.
Yeah, that's actually great.
I mean, he's the speedster, and we're not using the speed.
Yeah, I agree. That was Greg Dominic. He said, "I've not thrown."
Yeah, Facebook user. That's a great question, and the answer to that is we're double dumb for not doing that.
Yeah, that is Richman. That's Greg Dominic. So I talked to Greg last night as well, man. So offensively, and here's my thing. I said this on my live feed last night. Bobo is. I haven't given up on Bobo, but I'm a little peculiar. Like, I'm really frustrated in what was this? Did the game plan change because of weather? Did we look and go? We want to possess the ball more because of the rain to keep Ole Miss off the field. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, like I thought that the defense I mean, Jackson Dart ended up with 199 yards of passing. That is the lowest passing outcome of Jackson Dart's year right there. He threw for 199 yards. And I'm hearing tons of, just tons of people talk about how, Carson Beck only threw for what, 185?
Hey, Dart was 18 of 28, and Beck was 20 of 31. And they both were 64% completion percentage. But Beck's average pass was 6 yards, and Dart's was over 9. So,
Yeah.
And the other thing that was kind of funny is they ran the ball on us. They had 263 yards rushing.
A lot of that, though, was, let's talk about that. A lot of that was just blown. I mean, Jackson Dart just takes off for 40 yards.
With a gimp
We
leg.
just don't have him covered. We're man
in there like some old school quarterback and opts not to slide. You got to love that. And you got to respect that.
Yeah. I thought, honestly, I thought he was done running the rest of the night. I remember texting you and I said, Dart's out. I'm like, I didn't expect this kid to come in. Somebody said he looked like a young Tua.
I'll be honest
number 13.
I think that kid came in. I think he completely changed the dynamic of the game. When he drove it down our throat, I think we were done. I don't know how you can be that big a mental midget, but
do you honestly think that the defense or the offense cost us more last night?
I'm going to say, look, they scored what, 22 points, 28. Well, it's
28.
They got
6 in mop-up
one
time.
gimme, but I blame it on our offensive line. If our offensive line had done their job, we'd have scored 31 points.
I agree, man. What the defense, like, I just don't know, man. Let's read some of these reactions. I got this guy, top contributor for Ultimate Dogs Facebook page. Name a current receiver on this team that will get drafted to the NFL this season. Just for reference, Bowers, McConkey, and Rosemy Jack Saint are NFL rosters, our own NFL rosters as rookies. I think they're referring to Coley in this one.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything, but I did mention Coley on my live stream last night. And 1 year doesn't tell the tape, but why can't we catch the damn ball? Like, what's the deal, man? I've seen receivers digress this year. Dylan Bell has digressed as a receiver. I thought this was going to be his breakout year, dude. I actually named him. I said, this is the guy that is going to be a go-to guy that's going to take over for Ladd. I don't even know, like, right now, that's one of the things that Carson – so why is Carson different this year than last year? You said it, and I didn't believe it, but he has no McConkey or – well, yeah, I agree with that.
And then if you can't trust your offensive line, there's more pressure on you to complete passes and force passes. And maybe this is a dynamic with the receivers too, because of all of this, there may be more pressure on them to make the receptions, and they're not. I don't know. It's crazy.
I agree. The line play, the more and more I think about it. Now, let me ask you this. Is there nothing in the playbook that just gets us away? Like, here's my thing. Have you ever watched, Alabama put this on tape, and we've seen it happen against Mississippi State, which is a terrible defense in the SEC. We've seen it happen against Auburn. We've seen it happen against every single team, Texas, every single team after Alabama put it on tape. But Alabama did something to us that exposed us for the year right now. And that's they weren't scared to put 6 on the line, 7 on the line, show you they're coming, and just come. And they bring it, and you have no – it's –
well, and so, that gets back to something. Why are we not throwing the deep ball? Well, primarily because Beck doesn't have time to throw the deep ball. So that condenses everything up under. That puts more pressure on your receivers because they know the quarterbacks – they're not – all the pressure's coming into the receivers because there's no threat over the top and deep. So what's happening is your safeties are compressing. You know, it all goes back to the offensive line. If the offensive line would give Beck time to throw, Arian Smith would have time to get open. If he had time to get open, that would stretch the field and it would take pressure off of the throws in the middle, the middle zone. It would open it up a lot more.
Yeah.
Dude, I was a defensive guy. I'm just talking about what I'm seeing.
It's funny to see these. I saw this comment once again. Ultimate Dog Nation. With this loss, are we out of the playoff picture? I'll answer the question for the. I'm going to put these. These are all going to drop on. This live is going to drop on all these. Actually, all these pages have accepted me, and I just need to put them on here more. But some of the answers are hilarious. We don't deserve to make the playoffs playing like we are. No on the field leadership whatsoever, and the team is not motivated to win. I mean, I see that, but like we had a bad game. I just think, man, our schedule is really, really tough, man. The number one toughest schedule in not the SEC, but in college football. The number one toughest schedule in college football, man. We went to Ole Miss. We went to Alabama. By the way, prime time, 3:30 and on our prime time spots. We played Alabama prime time at night, Texas prime time at night, Ole Miss 3:30, Kentucky 7:30, Florida 3:30, neutral site, Clemson 7:30. I'm sorry, they played them at noon, neutral site. I'm just telling you right now, man, that there's not a lot of teams that can go on the road and do that at a high pace, man. And so, obviously it gives us a lot to talk about next week with Tennessee coming in. Game day is going to be in Athens. We don't have any excuses for the rest of the year. We're at home for these 3 games. I don't personally want game day to be there, but fine, whatever. But those are just the feel good things surrounding the game. But I just look at our fan base and go, we don't know how to react, man. It's like a child, man, who like you've allowed them to keep their room dirty for 4 years. And then all of a sudden one day you tell them to clean it up. They're going to look at you and be like, what are you talking about, dude? What do you mean clean up? I don't clean up. I haven't cleaned up in 4 years. So react to a loss. Don't know how to do it. Don't know how to react to a game that's not Alabama, right? So I don't know. This is Greg, I think, again. I think Beck needs to check. I like him.
Say it was Alabama.
Yeah. Greg says, I think Beck needs a check. I like him, but get him out of the comfort zone. The guy is not making good throws. He's getting 2 seconds to throw the ball. That's a mixed reaction. It's dabbling into what Richman said about our offensive line, but I don't know Beck was the problem from a leadership standpoint on Saturday night. At the end of the day, like Beck was would you agree? He threw the interception. He had to try to get the first down on that play. That's a full question. Let's answer it. What do you think? What do you think about Beck? Like, you still think Beck's the guy, or do you think? We talked about this, and at this point, I don't know. I don't know against Tennessee.
I got mixed emotions.
Everybody wants to know the same question: is it Gunner or is it Beck? Gunner hasn't played one snap for us in a starting position.
I think you have to dance with Beck at this point, and I don't. One reason I think he gives us the best chance to win, but let's don't bring a new quarterback that we're going to depend on next year into this mess and let that offensive line get him battered. So when he steps out on the field next year, he's already gun shy. Let's don't do that.
Here's another thing, though. Does it feel like we have these long I mean, I'm gonna go watch. I'm gonna go back and watch it. But do we feel like we have these long, drawn out like play schemes? Like I feel like we're trying to flood every zone, and that takes a while because you got to have levels. You got to look at. I mean, it takes a while. What a lot of times what you're trying to get is you're trying to get either a halfback to chip and go out
Well,
safe. You're trying to
last
get. Go ahead.
last week against Florida, there were so many of those passes that if he had waited just another second or two, they would have opened up perfectly, but he was rushing the throws. And I think that's endemic of what's going on this season. He's rushing throws because he knows he's fixing to get popped.
Right.
And he's not comfortable. If he
Right.
was comfortable, when you're flooding those zones, you're right. It takes time for that to open up. And we're just not having the success because we don't have the time.
Yeah. And I don't. I mean, if I'm looking ahead, which I didn't want to do this show, I mean, I wanted to give enough to. Beck's the guy. Gunner hasn't gotten a chance, but we can't keep patting him on the back. I agree with that. Listen, I'm gonna let Richman tell you a little story he told me that got me fired up. If Richman, if you're right, man, even if you're not right, man, somebody needs this story this week. I think we're gonna see it. It wouldn't have been surprising. You know, you don't hear about. I'm interested to listen to Dog Nation Daily tomorrow. I'm interested to just listen to a lot of different things tomorrow with other podcasters. That got info from the press. I mean, we heard the presser, but you know, locker room conversations. I'm not, you know, yesterday feels like a day that, or today, excuse me, we're almost into tomorrow. But it feels like a day today that maybe some players had some players only meetings today. And you maybe don't hear about them, but this is it. I mean,
You
this
gonna
is
read
it.
this?
This is everything's on the line in the next 3 weeks. But here's my thing: you don't get these weeks if it's a normal season, right? So this is what the college football playoff was presented to do. When they took this schedule and they said we're going to add Texas and Texas A&M, which I apologize, Texas and Oklahoma. When they said this, and then they took these divisions and they broke them up, then that meant that they could take this thing and shuffle it how they wanted to. It wasn't just like you play the same old. You got Tennessee. I mean, basically, if you look at the fact of when we played in the East, if we go back to playing in the East, we don't. I don't know where Texas lands, but let's just say Texas is in the East this year. That means the only two games we play this year on our schedule are is still rough, but Texas, Florida, Texas, um,
Tennessee
Tennessee, and
and Florida.
Florida. And so you don't get that. I mean, and we did have those two. Auburn's usually always been one of our crossover West games. And there's another one out there. Usually it's an LSU or an Alabama or an Ole Miss. That's how we played them the last time. But you don't get those games. This is what it was made for. So obviously, if you look at what's going on, there's a lot of 2-loss SEC teams. I mean, Tennessee's a 1-loss SEC team, but you can beg the differ that they've squeaked by against a couple teams. You know, you look at Kentucky, you look at Missouri, you look at. I mean, the score didn't really dictate what happened this past week against Mississippi State, but when you look at all this, this is it. This is it. So you look at some of the things we're talking about right now, and you go, all right. I mean, what has to come together this week, and what needs to be talked about, addressed, and thrown out there so that you can put this to bed and move forward. We talked about the offensive line, but I do think we need some plays that are just not. I just think we need levels of plays. I think we need some different run variations. I like
As a matter of fact, I don't think they should run anything they've run this season. Every play they have, they need to innovate it. They need to make something different about every play going forward. And not only that, but I'm surprised that they didn't have 2 or 3 game plans going into Ole Miss where if this isn't working, we're going to shift to this. We're going to shift to this.
right.
And so one of the things I heard that was kind of interesting. So Dart typically his success is on the perimeter, throwing that ball on the perimeter. And so they conceded the perimeter and they lined up 5 wide, and they consistently had mismatches with the slots on a linebacker, and they ate us up in the middle all night long. And so one of the things I'm, this, I don't know how you handle that, but I tell you, if I was getting burned on that, I'd pull some linebackers out and put some more defensive backs on the field and go with 6 defensive backs.
It was weird. I hate to say this to Richman, like we can pick that apart, but I still go back and I say, if you told me that Jackson Dart was going to have 199 yards passing, I didn't look at the rushing yards. Obviously, he took off a couple times.
He didn't.
I didn't see any big running back.
Yeah, I think they had 130 something yards rushing.
That's wild. That's wild, man. It's still wild. You got to look at 2 of them were 40-yard runs where the defensive backs were just the defensive backs and the linebackers were just turned. They were just turned and gone. And he's looking at like, wait a minute. Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? Like, it's like I can tuck this and run for 40 yards, and he did. One of those was like 50 yards, 50, 60 yards. He ran from like the 20 to like the 40 of the
he changed the field on us. Wild, with a hurt leg. That's the one where he stuck his helmet in there.
It's just unreal, man.
I'll tell you another thing that I saw. I don't remember who made the comment on this, but I was watching it, and it was pretty interesting. So one of our linebackers blitzed, and immediately, I don't know if it was the tight end or the slot, ran straight to that place where the linebacker blitzed from.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's brilliant. The receiver just sees that and goes to that spot, and Dart throws it to where it came from. And I'm like, why aren't we doing that? That's
because they've been. I mean, they look like a team that have studied our defense for 365 days. I mean, Kippen still said it, man. He said, listen, Georgia has an NFL caliber defense. We're just, I just think, Richman, I'm just going to give you the plug of the week, man. If we can get our damn offense on time, we have no problems the rest of the year. We just don't have problems. I know we have some cover issues. We have some, we talk about this. We've had some tackling issues. We've had this, that, but to put this type of this defense together that I still think is an elite defense with Dan Jackson, a 5th-year senior, who is one of the most aggressive players we have in the secondary. I think he's playing at a higher level than Malachi Starks right now. That's just me. But Malachi, Dan Jackson, KJ Bolden is so young, man. Aguero, first year. I mean, this is he's not a freshman, but he's green, man. And then you have Humphreys and Everett, who they just didn't get a lot of. Everett did, but Everett's head was full of I got burnt. Everett was the picked on cornerback last year. And then you got CJ Allen who showed flashes against our blitz schemes. I don't know, man. Jalen Walker, we had so many more exotic blitzes against Texas and Florida. Jalen Walker was nowhere to be found last night. Just nowhere to be found. Biggest playmaker we got on defense. And was he just not getting there? Was he the spy? Was he in coverage? I have no idea.
Looked like we were sending him. Almost every play. And he, actually, sometimes he dropped back into pass coverage, and we were getting smoked on that too. When you got to drop your edge rusher into pass coverage, that ain't good.
Yeah. Breaking news right here. We'll land it right here. This is literally minutes old. FSU relieves both coordinators, 3 total coaches, their coaching duties moving forward. So all offensive, defensive coordinators from FSU are gone. This is the Mike Norvell plea to save his job, probably. So dismisses offensive coordinator, offensive line coach Alex Atkins, defensive coordinator Adam Fuller, wide receiver coach Ron Dugans. So this just happened. This is happening right now as we speak. So, man, wow.
Merry
So
Christmas,
let's
huh?
talk about. Go ahead.
I just said Merry Christmas.
Yeah, right. I mean, let's talk about. I mean, we're gonna do our normal show this week, but I want to I want to get everybody's mindset because I want to drop this. This is going to be on Apple Podcast as of probably late tonight. I'll get it on late tonight for the week. I want dog fans to come into the week. If you haven't done so, go follow us on Apple Podcasts. And I just want to start your week off going, yeah, look, here we had some things, right? The biggest question is we can pound a little bit, but we can talk about let's talk about what needs to happen going forward, and let's talk about where we're at. First of all, let's talk about where we're at. Okay, for all dog fans listening right now, I think some of your questions are we out? And we're going to read a couple more meltdown questions. I think they'll be fun before we get off. But where are we at playoff wise, right? So I think if I looked, I sparingly looked today, but I think the AP dropped us to 11th. Coaches dropped us to 10th. Is that what you saw, Richman?
Yeah, that's what I
I
saw.
saw 10th and 11th. Here's the thing. That matters for one reason. For one reason, I think Tuesday you'll still hear Georgia's name called Tuesday night. I think it will be around that 10th or 11th spot. Why? Because the 12th spot is the fifth conference champion that is not Power Five. So that one's taken up. Georgia can't get that 12th spot. The lowest spot outside of a SEC, ACC, Big 12, or Big 10 champion has to be 11. So I've seen some at 10. I've seen some of it at 11. It doesn't really matter. I think it'll be 10 or 11 tomorrow night, which puts us on the road, first week against a Penn State or possibly whoever's sitting in that fifth spot. I'm sorry, that's not true. It's actually Tennessee. If it was sixth, it would be Tennessee. If it was if we were 11th, if it was 10th, it would be Penn State. That's obviously not true because we play Tennessee this week. So whoever it's going to shake Tennessee up if we win. It's going to definitely shake it up if we lose. So the whole answer to everything is this week's we're going to be seen in the playoffs this week, but it doesn't matter. Georgia's route right now is win. We said this last week. I didn't want to say it, but we can still afford to lose one. But obviously now this looks like a team that I don't know. I mean, we hadn't even begun to break down the SEC and what could happen and what. I think right now we may have saved ourselves an SEC championship. I mean, I don't even know if the championship games for Kirby, he loves it, but I don't know if it's worth it, in my opinion. Another
Actually,
injury, another chance to go out there and win the SEC championship so that you can go in and get a bye. I don't even know if the bye is going to help in these teams. They're going to be sitting out for 2 weeks watching these teams
I
play.
don't think this team needs to be in the SEC championship.
Yeah.
We don't need the wear and tear.
Yeah.
We definitely don't need another loss because if you
Yeah.
pull a loss in the SEC championship, you might find yourself on the outside looking in.
I agree. So when you're looking at long term, everything's in front of us. So obviously we're home the rest of the year. We play Tennessee.
Here's a good note to keep in mind. I don't think what happened yesterday, I don't think there's anybody else out there, at least for the next 3 games, that can take that and do anything with it to hurt us.
Right.
Because
I agree.
Nobody has the personnel that Lane Kiffin has. I don't think they can scheme from what they see from that game.
I agree. I totally agree. I think. I mean, here's the thing: you got Tennessee at home under the lights. It's already been kind of revved up. I don't know. Maybe we're looking ahead. I don't think we were looking ahead of this game, but I do know it's. Let's go look at this real quick because this is one of those shows, man, that I'm just like we gotta talk about this, man, because it's real, man. Like it's really real, and it sucks. But this is our home schedule this year. Home. We have played at home versus Tennessee Tech, Auburn, and Mississippi State. Okay. We have played on the road, and I'm including the games in neutral sites because it's a road game, whether you like it or not. It means that we don't have total control of the fan environment. we have played on the road against Clemson, who is now ranked in the college football playoffs as we speak, and will probably move up again because they did win this past weekend against Virginia Tech. So you're looking at a top 25 team in Clemson in the ACC. You're looking at a Alabama team that we played on the road, lost to, and Alabama right now has a big win against LSU. They're probably going to move up as I would say right now. I think people will view Alabama as probably the second best team in the SEC right now. At least I thought they looked that way. Would you agree? Do you think I think Texas A&M on neutral site right now, Texas A&M and Alabama, I think Alabama wins that game. I think Alabama is the second best team. I think Alabama might be the best team in the SEC right now.
I think Alabama wins the SEC is what I think.
Yeah. Texas on the road, we played them. Florida, Ole Miss. That's grueling, man. That's. I mean, when we played them, Clemson was 14, Alabama was 4, Texas was 1, Mississippi State was 16. When we played them, toughest schedule in college football. Now, the good news is we got Tennessee under the light 7:30 this weekend. Game day is coming to Athens. I don't care. You got UMass 12:45 SEC Network, and then you got a weird time slot against Georgia Tech at home. Georgia Tech played really well against Miami, beat Miami. I don't know what you can say about Miami because Miami's their defense is very suspect, and I believe a better defensive outlook. I mean, Miami did pretty well on offense, but I do think that Georgia Tech is a little bit.
I would say Tech's my biggest fear
out of Tennessee.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I think
the problems that Tennessee's experiencing are play to our favor. But
yeah,
dude, Tech's always a wild card. I mean, it's a rivalry, and
if you beat Tennessee, you beat UMass. Then Tech has the opportunity. That's their Super Bowl. They don't only this year have the opportunity to beat us, which Brent Key has not done, and he's yearning to do. One as an interim, he tried, and he got kind of close last year. And this year, this is their Super Bowl. This would be their bowl game because they can beat Georgia at home, and they can knock us out of the playoffs.
Championship.
Yeah, it'll knock us out of the playoffs. So tough outlook. Now, here's what we want to talk about though. So we just talked about it. Georgia's got to win out. I don't think there's any way. I don't think there's any way that unless some really nasty stuff happens in the SEC with Ole Miss losing some games, Tennessee beating us but losing some games after that, maybe Alabama losing to an Oklahoma, or unless some really crazy stuff where Alabama, Ole Miss, and LSU take some losses. This is it for Georgia. So it's very, very clean cut, very clear. Georgia has to beat Tennessee at home, has to beat UMass at home, has to beat Georgia Tech. And with that, I think they might get a first-round home game. I think they probably get a first-round home game because of the toughness of their schedule.
Right, because of
so everybody's saying, well, you probably get one on the road. I don't think so. I think Indiana still has to play Ohio State. I think Ohio State's going to beat Indiana. And I think that Indiana's schedule, their strength of schedule is terrible right now. And then, I think some other things are going to go down. Penn State, I don't know. I haven't looked at some of these schedules, but I think you look at Alabama, Auburn, Oklahoma, anything can happen there. Although I think Alabama is on a roll, but. So let's talk really quick there, Richman. Like, what's it going to take? What does this week need to look like? Let's talk about it first from a defensive standpoint of view. What is Tennessee going to do? This is an early preview. We're going to cut it short tonight, not go too long, because we don't want to give too much away for the show this week. But early preview on Tennessee. Like, what does the defense got to do against Tennessee? Tennessee has obviously struggled, but you know what? I don't look at any of this. Every single game, Georgia gets everybody's best, right? So we can throw the book out on Nico, throw the book out on these receivers. They've got receivers that are really great. Squirrel White, um, who's my guy that came back. I just had him on there. Obviously, Nico on there. They got Sampson at running back, Dylan Sampson at running back. Brew McCoy is who I'm thinking about. Once again, a lot of good receivers that can stretch the field. But this is always a game that we play at home that I feel like we are ready for, right? Defensively, what do we got to look like this week?
Man, I think our defensive line needs to, and our edge guys, they need to set the edge. We need to stop that run and make them throw, since that's where they're struggling.
Do you think that the defensive, do you think we were caught off guard against Ole Miss, or do you think the game plan was just literally?
We got out schemed.
Okay.
I mean, our quarterbacks didn't even have to play the perimeter. It wasn't there. It was all in the interior.
Right.
So
do you realize right now Tennessee is technically?
I'm not as worried about
Tennessee is technically ranked first in the SEC.
What's that?
You realize right now Tennessee is technically ranked first in the SEC.
Dude, I mean, it's the SEC. It's a big old suicide punch right now. I don't worry about it until the end.
Right. Tennessee's beating Alabama. This is a tough game. It's a tough game at home. It's a tough game. I've heard that Georgia opens up 10.5. I think on defense.
You said 10? How much you say?
I think Georgia's opened up at 10.5.
10.5?
Yeah, let me let's see.
Wow.
Let me hop out of here. Yeah, I want to just double check that as well. Let's see. All right, week 12. All right, SEC. Then we'll talk about. All right, so right now, UGA 9.5. It's dropped since
9.5
this morning. So 9.5 at home. I think this is a different ball game, right? This is a different ball game. I like us against the run. Tennessee's tried to be more balanced this year. Sampson he came back and he looked good against Mississippi State. He went down for a little bit against Mississippi State, but he came back, looked fine. A little more balanced. I like us against the run. And I think this is one of those things that Nico is not as fluid in the offense, in my opinion, as to where some of the previous two quarterbacks from Tennessee were. So I'd say that their offense doesn't scare me as much as Ole Miss's does.
No.
So I'm confident in that. But I do think that my one problem with where we affected Texas and we didn't affect Ole Miss was this. The blitz got there against Texas. That's the big difference. Now, we got to know how to react if they're 3 seconds and they're getting the ball out. That's one thing they mentioned. They're like, Dart he's snapping it, balls out. Snapping it, balls out. When he's holding the ball, the blitz just didn't get there, man. We blitz from the same spot every time. And I think it's because like you said, we thought that it was going to be on the boundary. So we took our chances in the middle. How many times did we beat our head against the wall, though, and take it from the middle? So I think our defense, one of the key things for me is get them unbalanced. And the blitz, when we go, man, it's got to get there. Like, if we got to disrupt the quarterback like we're getting disrupted.
Let's hope our edge rushers are more effective this week.
Where was Michael Williams this week? I heard he was getting better. I heard he was feeling better. He was getting more close to 100%. Didn't see his name in any play. Didn't see our defensive guys. I mean, for the most part, when they ran the ball at us, I think our defensive line held strong. But I didn't see Michael Williams a lot in the backfield. I didn't see Jalen Walker. We got to him a couple times. The best pass rush we got was the first three plays.
We had one sack, I think. whole game.
It was in the first. It was in the first
had
possession, right?
Yeah, and we had a couple of where we rolled him up after he got a yard. I think that happened
Right.
several times, but so it's close to a sack, but that's probably what you're looking at.
What do you think the defense is going to get this week? As far as, I mean, do you? I don't think this is a defensive gut check this week. I don't.
Well, I've been griping about this all season. I mean, from the get go, we have had too few 3 and outs. I'd sure like to see them step up this week and get some 3 and outs.
Right.
Because I think when they get 3 and outs, that gives the offense a little more confidence.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we need to play complementary football. Part of that is let's get some 3 and outs and let's get the offense getting some first downs.
Right. I agree.
Let's get some first downs, not third downs. Let's get more first downs than third downs.
Yeah.
Let's get the ball, let's get rolling.
That's
what I want to see. Georgia's like a box of chocolates, man. Who the hell knows who's going to show up this week?
I don't. The good news is, Richman, is I don't think we have a choice to show up or not.
This is going to show the resolve of this team. I mean, this is really going to tell the story about this team, and not on this team. And I don't want to pick on this team in particular, but like, what's the NIL thing done to the dynamics of teams? It's
a lot.
It's easy to show up and get your ass kicked when you make $1 million, whether you win or not.
Yeah.
But the kids out there that are, that don't have the money, that like to go to the next level and make some money, those are the kids that play hard. Those are the kids that, I mean, it's do or die for them, but is it do or die for the other guys that have already made the money? That's kind of where I'm. I don't know. I just don't know if the resolve is the same on these types of teams as it used to be.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, man.
Yeah, I'd like to have a national championship ring, but I got a Lambo.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that, and look, we're not the only ones having this conversation. There's fans all over the country trying to figure this out because the dynamic has changed. But what we really want to see is we want to see the resolve of these guys go out there and play like we know they can play, like they played against Clemson, like they played against the second half of Alabama, like they played the second half against Texas.
Yeah.
We know they can do that. The question is, will they do that when it's do or die? That's where we're at.
Yeah. And I mean, and if you look at the offense, I mean, the offense was the next question. I'll be honest with you, like, this doesn't get any easier. I'm very surprised that I think this is a lot on this 9.5 points that will dwindle. It will dwindle down to probably 6.5 by kickoff. But this 9.5 is built off of a pissed off Georgia team and a pissed off Kirby Smart. Because I will tell you that there was a lot of stories about, there were stories about, I don't know if you saw it, but there were students from Ole Miss running up to Dan Jackson and other players and getting in their face. One of them touched Dan Jackson and was yelling and screaming in his face. And obviously Ole Miss get their signature win. They take the goalpost and do stupid things with it and things of that nature. But, you look at this game and, you hear this, that none of those Georgia players want to ever feel like that again. I thought that was what was said at the Alabama loss. That's what I thought. We never want to feel like this again. And I think what you're hinting at is everybody needs to take a look around and go, Carson Beck may be the person who can throw the ball and get us into opportunities to score. But we need to find out this week who the leadership is on this team. I agree with you on that. You said this, and I firmly think, because this is not, I'm surprised because this is going to be a pissed off Georgia team. You're going to get them at night. You're going to get them between the hedges, game days there. You're going to create an atmosphere similar to Texas. Although that atmosphere was created on Saturday. But this defense is not any worse than Ole Miss in statistical categories. I mean, against the run, Ole Miss has allowed 799 of total rushing yards this year. Tennessee's at 897. They're the only two teams that are South Carolina, Auburn are under by about 50 yards. They're the only two teams that are definitively under 1,000 yards giving up rushing this year. And in the pass, Tennessee right now is second in allowing 2,400 yards. The closest person to them is Missouri, and then Texas, who's given up 2,200 yards. This is not going to be an easy game. It's going to take all of this stuff can't show up. None of this stuff can show up to get a complete victory. And I will tell you this. The things that I will tell you is we've been talking about it all year. We have not had a complete victory. Texas was not a complete victory. Carson Beck had 3 interceptions. There was still more to our offense against Texas. Our defense played a hell of a game against Texas. Our defense won that game.
Yeah.
Bar none. We have not put a complete game together this year. I'm just telling you this. If we take the field and we start to see any of these trends, it's done, man. Like, it's done. We have to come to the plate understanding that every single week, I mean, Alabama just played its guts out. It showed what it could do. In my opinion, everybody was picking LSU. I mean, there's a lot of people that picked LSU on game day, which is the main reason I don't put a lot of info into game day and all the stuff. At the end of the day, it's what team's going to have the complete game that brought it, right? Alabama made LSU look like they shouldn't even took the field, right? We borderline made Texas with our defense look like they didn't even show up. At the end of the day, like, it's got to be a complete game. We've been waiting on the complete game, but it's got to be.
Well,
and it can't wait.
Let me ask you this. So yesterday, the first drive, we destroyed them defensively, got an interception, drove it down the field, and scored. What do you think? Do you think that psychologically we just like said, okay, we're going to kill them? This is going to be a cakewalk. Do you think that's what they did?
I think we went into. I think the offense had zero aggression. We have no kill. We have no kill status. No kill status. At that point in time, I think offensively was when we started to deteriorate. Look at the next 2 offensive possessions. We tried to run the ball. The passes that we threw were just, we just threw outs to the running back.
Yeah, and I was not happy with. It looked like to me Bobo was trying to protect Beck by not letting him throw. And in my opinion, that was the wrong way to go. You need to let them play football and don't hold anything back. And if it's interceptions, it's interceptions. But you got to play to win. You can't play not to lose.
I think you got to pull out all the stops. You can do this. Like, you can do this. In my opinion, I'm going to give everybody the sentence they've been wanting to hear from me at least all year long. You can have some game plan built around Gunner next weekend. Why not? It's not going to. I mean, to know that we will bring Gunner Stockton in, I think a lot of things next week. I mean, psychologically, let's just be honest. If Beck's going to be off, he's going to be off. If he hasn't been able to psychologically deal with all the crap he's dealt with the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks, then it doesn't matter. I mean, but I do think as you enter into this week and you sit down in that room, and it might have happened. If I'm a betting man, it didn't happen, but it might have happened. I'm not guaranteeing that him and Gunner weren't in the room this week going, hey, we have to do everything that we can to win these games. We're losing done. Okay. So Carson Beck, regardless of this, I think that there was a time today or tomorrow, probably happened today though, that it was said to Carson Beck, look, regardless of if you lose this game, it's done for you. Your career at Georgia's done. It's over with, right? Even though he could come back if he wanted to. I don't know if we don't even want to talk about that, but I'm not saying we don't want him. I'm just saying, like, it's too early to really look at that because his draft stock has plummeted. So he hasn't done himself any favors this year.
Dude.
But like, don't you think they've been in that room and there's been talk of going, hey, I just want you guys to know that, you know, if we're seeing that the offensive line is not getting a lot of productivity with you sitting in the pocket, like we may need Gunner to come in and just literally, he might be running the same plays. He might not have any packages, but like if this is happening, like at least we can create a little bit. We're not just centered to throwing the ball away or making a dumb throw, you know, or, you know, by the luck of the draw, you know, Carson getting away from two people and gaining 8 yards.
I'll just
I
tell you
mean,
this. If we're getting our ass beat in that game and Kirby Smart brings Gunner in and lets him play ball, not only me, but so many people in Dog Nation will have some serious respect for Kirby Smart.
right.
But if he lets us go down the tubes and he leaves Beck in there the whole game, oh, hell.
Yeah.
It's going to get ugly.
It's going to be evident really quick, Richman. I mean,
Well, it will.
there can't be any.
But
I think
I thought what happened in the first few minutes of the Ole Miss game that we were there. We were fixing to play a whole football game, and it was going to go our way. And I'm surprised that it went the way it did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really wonder if the defense had gotten 3 and out against their backup, would our offense, you know, I don't, you know, you just have to wonder.
We didn't have an answer on offense.
What it's
we didn't. We had some 3 and outs. They punted. They had the ball a lot.
No, I mean 3 and out with their backup stop that drive.
I see. Yeah. Oh yeah.
What would that have done? Would the offense come in then under different pretenses and taking care of business? Because I mean, you have to think a lot of this stuff's psychological. That momentum swing, that momentum, you know, all of a sudden I think I can because I'm the little, what is it, the little train? I think I can.
Little engine that could.
Can't remember how it went, but I remember the story.
The little engine that could.
Yeah, the little engine that could. You know, all of a sudden their offensive line that we thought was so weak, they were the little engines that could, and they did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be a tough week of practice. I'm going to be honest with you. I think and to kind of, we're going to wrap it up tonight, but I think what this week needs to look like is I think Carson and Gunner need to be called in the room. And I think Carson needs to understand that it's not going to be about him this week. It's going to be about
Georgia football.
This is about Georgia football this week. And he needs to understand the minute that we feel like this is a head game to him and it can go east or west, or he doesn't bounce back from an interception or a bad throw or a sack, then we're going to have to get to a point where the defense feels confident that they don't have to win the football game. I think for the running game alone, we're going to have to get a little bit more unpredictable in the running game. You said something about under center was a pass, shotgun was a run. I'm going to tell you something else I caught, and this might be minor, but it could be happening every time that Carson leans back on a pass play. On a shotgun play. It's
when the shotgun, when the ball's coming, he leans back. It's a pass.
He leans back. When he stands straight up in the pocket or he leans forward, he's trying to get the momentum going back. If I'm a middle linebacker, man, and I'm seeing him lean back, man, I am full-fledged whatever. If I'm hunkered down in zone, I'm already mentally there.
Yep.
But I don't even know if we've gotten that far yet, right? But it's gonna be a thing where we got to get creative in the run. The toss, I don't know about that toss anymore, man. I don't know if it's SEC defenses are just too fast, man. They're really too fast.
Yeah,
I'm more comfortable.
Tennessee's gonna be fast. They're not.
I'm more comfortable with getting who's my guy, man? Urasek, man. Get Urasek out of there and just give me an extra tackle. Give me Drew Bobo or somebody. Stick him on the end. And if I'm going to run unbalanced left, then I don't want Urasek out there because he's not going to catch the ball if you throw it anyway. And they don't care. They don't care. They're coming at us. I mean, Oscar Dell blew so many blitzes off the left-hand side. Just give me a lineman over there, right? Give me three receivers, a lineman, and then let's run off tackle. Let's see what they can, let's see what they can handle. And out of the shotgun, for God forbid, man, if we're not getting anything done out of the shotgun, we're just dropping back. Can we get? I saw one creative play the other night. Did you know what it was? I really loved the two misdirection. Let's call it two misdirection plays that we ran in the third quarter. One that was getting Arian Smith and going left. We brought him back right. He didn't get the ball, but Dylan Bell did get the ball. It was the most positive run play we had all night. He had 16 yards. Never saw the play again. Never saw it again. It's like we just tucked it and just didn't pay attention to it again. I saw a play where I never saw Arians with a ball trying to get east or west. I never saw it, man. Aaron Smith. Never saw Aaron Smith going east or west the other night. I just don't know where it's at, man. What happens? Like, take the scheme and throw the damn thing in the shredder this week. Don't have a 20-play mindset, right? Run the plays that we want to get out and get ahead. That's what our goal needs to be. And there's no tomorrow on Friday. There is if you win, but there's no tomorrow if you lose. If you lose, then yeah, Gunnar Stockton's playing every minute against UMass and every minute against Tech. That would be the smart thing to do. But there's no tomorrow, man. So run every play that is going to get you in a situation where you get ahead. Our defense thrives ahead, a la Texas. We thrive from playing ahead. We play with more motivation. Although 7-0, when that guy came in, we had a spy. We were spying Carson Beck, and there was no running. It was zero running. It's almost like I thought it might have been planned, but it wasn't. I heard people say that I've heard the the schemes of, man, the college football just don't want the SEC to power the playoffs. I get that. But they would have much rather seen an 8-1 Georgia and an 8-1 Tennessee next week than they would have they get a lot more to talk about,
Right.
I'm not going to get a chance to watch game day, which is probably a good thing. But I'll see the game. But final thoughts tonight, Rich, man. Overreaction Sunday. We had a lot of people join. What's up, Val? How are you, man? Go ahead, Rich, man. Final reaction.
Yeah, just they got to put this all behind them. I mean,
yeah.
And our back's against the wall. I mean, we're going to find out what kind of resolve they have. You're right; they're going to have to come out and play a clean game.
Yeah.
And from the get-go, because if it gets ugly, good gosh.
Yeah.
And I be honest with you, I think if it gets ugly, they still won't put Gunner in. But that's just me.
I don't think this game gets ugly. I think this game is going to come down to it's whether it's close or whether it's not. I mean, we have the team and we have the names on the back of the jerseys that if you just give me a better game plan Saturday, man, and give me a dry, I mean, the weather didn't help, man. The weather didn't help. And I'm not making excuses. Everybody had a wet ball, but I mean, Ole Miss depends on throwing the ball 90% of the game. It's just in their DNA. But the minute that you had to put a wet ball in our hands and we had to throw the ball 90% of the time, that is not who we are. It's not who we are. It was out of our, and also Georgia's not used to that offensive line, man. They're not used to you even. We're being tried right now, man. And that's what Searles needs to tell this offensive line on Monday. You're being tried. Like, everybody is looking at you going, we can take advantage of this line. And we need every piece of screw poster board material or bulletin board material. Every coach needs to be looking. And here's my thing. Where is the T-Robs at, right? Where are the adjustments? Somebody said it the other day, we're missing Will Muschamp on that backside of their adjustments, man. Those adjustments that are happening in the secondary are being missed. You may see Muschamp in the building a lot more this week. You may even see that sucker on the sideline this week. I don't know. I don't know if he's allowed to be or not, but I say you got to pull everything out this week, man. I would have some guys on the phone offensively. I would definitely be talking to a couple people who played Tennessee. I would have DeBoer on the line. I'd have anybody else out on the line right now that'll talk to you and go, here's the thing, man. And defensively, like, where's Travaris Robinson at, man? Where is the guy that looks and goes, hey, guys, this isn't working. This isn't working. And like I said, I don't blame it on the defense. Defense played good enough for us to win. But on offense, I mean, I saw it today, man. I saw a kicker for the 49ers miss a couple kicks, and Deebo Samuels came off, and don't get me wrong, I don't agree with this. It's not very sportsmanlike, but he put his neck around the long snapper, and he basically told him, he said, look, we're doing our damn job. You got to do your job. And if I'm the defense this week, I'm going, guys, what do we need to do to help you all succeed? We're doing our job. We're doing our job. And if I'm CJ and I'm I'm stacked and these so-called leaders, Dan Jackson's, I'm going to Bobo and I'm going, hey man, let's have some lunch this week. Let's have some lunch, man. Like what does the offense need? Does it need leadership? Does it need pats on the back? Does it need, what do you need from us? This is it, man. This is the difference in next Sunday, us already talking about CJ Wiley and these recruits coming in. Because it's a done deal. It's a done deal, which is weird, even in a 12-team playoff avenue that we should be talking. We thought we'd be talking about Georgia well into December and January this year, regardless of if they were made the playoffs or not, being a 14 playoff. But we thought we'd be talking about them a lot, but we could still stand the chance of November 16th us talking about recruiting again, but as we can say, it's not over. It's not over. We get another shot. The 12-team playoff has given us that. I think that's what needs to be told to the players this week is, look, if you're hurt, you need to get in you need to be in the training room every single hour of your day, not in your Lambo, not talking to your girlfriend. Get in the training room, get well. If you're not in the training room, get in your playbook. If you're not in your playbook, get in there with the team and start to create some bonds. I would bring back some skull sessions this week. I would go back to the beginning of the year where you were at, at fall camp and reinvent that team chemistry this week. Go watch them.
I hope you're right. I just sense that the team chemistry this year is not what it has been, but
it can be.
It can be.
I think people are not. They're not stepping up, Rich man. They're not stepping up. They're scared to step up. They don't want to ruffle any feathers. But here's the thing: this week, I even think with your NIL guys, whoever they are, it sounds like there's this layer. I know you sent me this, man, where basically somebody, came into the. I'm going to read it without the cuss words in it. I'll go back to the text you sent me. Then we're going to get out of here. But
we don't know. We don't know if this is real or not, but it showed up.
Yeah. So looking at this right here, it says that basically we don't know if it's real or not, but it was said that somebody walked in before Kirby's speech and started talking about not caring. He said, if you're worried about anything outside of this team or draft stock, don't effing play. I don't care in big caps about number one in the NFL. I don't care about number one in the country. I didn't come here to lose. I didn't get a huge NIL lump sum. People can't go home to a big house. I had to grind to get in this spot from special teams to punt return. And I don't see nothing to be smiling about on the sideline. Defense can't save us every game. This falls on everybody. I mean, this could be a locker room. This also sounds like a post. I could be the only one yelling. Then Kirby stops and did a speech, but everyone was still in shock. The locker room, the plane ride home was quiet. They need more leaders. Yeah. So, and you talked about it too, Richman, about how we need more leadership. I just think this week, I think some of these players need to look at everybody else and go, hey, like you need to go out here Saturday. Saturday doesn't need to be what we're playing for. I think every single day this week, you need to put in the effort to get into the play sheets, to get into, if you're on the scout team, you need to be giving us the best looks. If you're on defense this week, you need to be giving us every bit of you this week. And I'm giving the old Rudy speech.
Look, if it's Dan Jackson, if it's Munden, I don't know. Sounds like to me somebody needs to knock some heads. In the military, they used to call it a blanket party. But if there's a problem, The leadership needs to take care of it.
Yeah.
And the coaches don't need to be coddling people.
Yeah.
So
And these guys walking out to the G, these captains, the ones I'm seeing over and over and over, those are the ones I'm seeing. This is an ETN moment. ETN, he's a dog now. He's a dog now. This is what he came here to do. I heard it all year from Kirby. He's like, ETN's a born leader. ETN sounds like on offense, he needs to be that guy stepping up going, listen, and I don't know if you saw it, but he had this gigantic like bolo around his waist from his rib shot that he had. You know, we need, he needs to be looking at everybody going, we need every bit of you in this playbook this week. We need to be able to go to 101% of our playbook. We don't need to be not going to this part of the playbook because you don't know it or you're not comfortable with it. Like, we need to be able to adjust on a dime. If the run's not working and the line can't hold up on some of these, you know, we're trying to flood this zone, you know, blitz packages, what are we doing, man? Show me your numbers. We see the blitz. Divert. Show me your numbers. Give me 5 yards. That's another thing, man. I didn't set it. We could go on for hours tonight. But I know this. If a blitz has happened, it's a different piece than 3rd and 5 and we're trying to get 5 yards. But if it's 2nd and 8, 1st and 10, and they blitz, man, just turn around and show me your numbers, dude. Give me 5 yards. Because right now we're not getting any yards. You know, there's just so many things that this team, you know, Brock Bowers, man, was a great example of a person who his route did. I mean, it meant something to him, but his route meant I also have a brain. And I know that this route, if I run this route into this part of the zone, it's useless. It's absolutely useless. I'll give you another example. What's the difference in this game if instead of kicking 2 field goals, we get in the end zone those times we get in? One of those calls from Bobo, I have no idea. Here's another thing you got to think about. You know, and I don't want to throw this all on Beck, but, you know, we've heard time and time again these head cam, I mean, these in-ear things in the helmets, and we've heard that Carson has total reign over the offense and all this stuff.
I've also heard Beck doesn't like those things.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is, you know, you got to look this week and go, is the play being, you know, are we getting into like one of those, you know, Hugh Freeze moments where he's calling the plays and the play's not making it to the snap. And it's like, we had a 3rd and 5, had a chance to score right there. We backed out. We backed out of something because we saw two middle linebackers on the line. And you got to think right there, man. Like, I don't think they're coming right there. I don't think they're coming right there because too much can go wrong. They know Georgia's notorious for the tunnel screen. They'd be out of the play on that. They know Georgia's notorious for dump off things that can, you know, zone beaters 3rd and 5 are a lot easier than zone beaters, you know, 3rd and 7, 2nd and 10. But at the end of the day, we jump out of it. Cash runs an air. He runs an air. Well, it's basically just an in. He's basically clearing the line and he's coming back in. It's a triangle route. But this is the only place we could go. But in a zone, he's just coming into the catcher's mitt of those 2 linebackers because they've backed out of the play. And all they have to worry about, because technically there's blitz coverage, there's man coverage everywhere. It's cover 0. Now those linebackers are just literally responsible to either A, take the quarterback, or B, they knew it. I mean, everybody knew where it was going. Carson kept his eyes on him. He thought it was man. He throws it to Cash anyway, and we kick a field goal. Those are the type things that just can't happen. And also, here's another big topic. Do we see Colby Young back this week? I don't know. I mean, I'm not one of those people to be but I'm just saying, man, we've missed his 6'4" body, man, on 3rd and 5. We've missed it. And if these accusations are all false, I don't care what politically correct is. If law enforcement said it didn't happen and the statement said it didn't happen, this kid's been working out. You need to reinstate him and you get him on the field. I hadn't heard anything about Daniel Harris. He's still playing too, though.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my final thought for tonight, man. I think this team
week. I don't know how
I think this team's got to gel. Got to gel. You got to have a couple more meetings together. You got to have a couple more meals together. This is it. It's the biggest stage of your career if you're a senior. You know, you're going to go and have not many times have you had your senior night where nothing was on the line. And for these seniors, that's the conversation.
It's going to be a good opportunity for the coaches this week too, because they got out coached last week. Let's see if they can coach them up this week and play ball.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to want to sit there and see Georgia not bring the game plan to the table and lose because of any other thing. But at the end of the day, man, like I've heard it all. I've heard we don't want to feel like this again. We don't this. Well, here's the thing: you got Tennessee, UMass, Georgia Tech. You got them all at home. You got 2 out of 3 of them under the lights. Great game time, primetime games. This is the first year. If I'm a coach, I'm looking at these seniors going, I don't know if Kirby has ever had a senior on senior day, which will be Georgia Tech, go into that game where receiving that senior team award doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. Matter of fact, some of those seniors might not even play that game. Maybe they I mean with NIL, right? They just go, I'm done for the year. Going to the draft, right? Who cares about going to a bowl? This game's a lot, man. It means a lot. This is a big game. It's a huge game. I'm a little bit more on edge than I've ever been. So anyways, thanks for joining Overreaction Sunday. We're in a solid hour and 21 minutes of overreaction. So we're gonna go live this week at some point in time for our normal weekly show. We'll dive in a little bit deeper on Tennessee. We'll hit a little playoff stuff. Probably talk about a little bit. Like I said, playoff picture doesn't really matter this week. Playoff picture starts coming around when we start looking at if we beat Tennessee, then we kind of start looking at, okay, UMass, Georgia Tech, where do we start falling? Are we looking at a first round game or not? That's kind of what we're looking at. So Tennessee is the first haul. I probably won't even watch the playoff rankings on Tuesday, to be honest with you. So for myself, for Richman, Overreaction Sunday, make sure you go follow, like, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Dogs Down South, and it will be up tonight on Apple Podcasts. So look forward to seeing this week, and let's put it all past us. Let's have a great week. As always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.